The purpose of these lessons is to show you the logic behind the most basic Chinese characters, beginning with the simplest pictograms, and later combining these elements to create more complex characters. This lesson contains only 5 new characters, 3 of which are based on that simple pictogram which, for over 3,000 years, has represented 2 distinctly different things, either a woman or a spoon. In today's characters, we'll be talking about the one referring to the spoon, not the woman. In the previous lesson, number 68, we saw characters in which the same pictogram represented a person, and especially a matriarch, pronounced bi. In today's characters, this identical pictogram represents a ladle or spoon-like object held in the hand, pronounced second tone, chi, chi. To distinguish spoon from woman, it was apparently necessary to create another phono-semantic character, which is our next one. You can see that the purple fourth tone shi became the phonetic. When pronounced chi, it represents a spoon, but when given the unstressed pronunciation shi, shi, it means a key, a spoon-like object. Here's an example of a silver spoon. 他是嘴中含了银石出生的. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. In other words, he was born into a rich family. To say a key in Chinese, we need another character, our second one today. But first, we should review the character lun from lesson 44 for a little background. You might recall that lun is composed of a bundle of bamboo strips under the cover radical, meaning a collection of things arranged in proper order. Now, however, those bamboo strips become bamboo tubes, with the addition of 3 mouthpieces to indicate a musical instrument made from an arrangement of flutes. Combined with the door radical, this flute arrangement serves as the phonetic to indicate an upright wooden post securing the crossbar on a door. In other words, a locking system. That wooden post was later made of metal, so the door radical was replaced by jin plus the purple phonetic, fourth tone yue. This character is today pronounced yao, yao. But dictionaries also list yue as an alternate pronunciation. Here are 2 sentences using key, pronounced yao shi. 你是在找这把钥匙吗? Is this the key you're looking for? Notice the measure word ba for keys. 我花了1个小时找汽车的钥匙. I spent an hour searching for the car keys. The third character in today's lesson is a drawing depicting a spoon carrying food to a mouth. Its earliest meaning was to savor delicious food. Pronounced third tone, 指, 指. In English, we can appreciate food for its flavor, and can also savor written words for their expressiveness, an extension of sense that took place in Chinese too, possibly due to the confusion of the bottom element with yue, that ancient character meaning to speak, in lesson 68. For this reason, 旨在 means the aim or objective, literally the flavor of what is written. 这本书的目的旨在教人吃素。The objective of this book is to promote vegetarianism. 主旨 means the gist or substance of spoken or written material, its main flavor. 这些言论很多人不了解主旨。Many people do not understand the main idea of the speech. 圣旨 and 旨意 both can mean an order, imperial decree, or the will of God. 君主的圣旨就是法。A monarch's decree is the law. 百姓不能违背国王的旨意。The common people cannot disregard a royal decree. Notice the expression for commoners, literally the 100 surnames. 女人得死守在家，是上天的旨意吗？ Has heaven ordained that women should remain in the home? Today's fourth character is the element we just saw in 旨, that is, a mouth savoring food. It's pronounced first tone, 干, gan. This easy-to-write character has the basic meaning of sweet or palatable, with the extended meaning of a willingness to do something. Literally, something pleasing to the taste, highly palatable. Our first phrase is an example of its meaning of sweet taste, as it's the name for licorice root, 甘草. It's frequently used in traditional Chinese medicinal formulas. Much more useful, however, is the expression 甘心, literally palatable to the heart or mind, which in English is translated as readily or willingly. Here are 3 affirmative examples and 2 negative ones. 他为国家死也甘心. He would readily die for his country. 你能甘心过着如此的生活吗? Can you reconcile yourself to living like this? 她不是一个甘心坐享其成的女人. She's not the type of woman who willingly sits back and enjoys the benefits of other people's labor. Notice that 其 here serves as a third-person adjective, meaning someone else's labor. 失去这么好的机会，我很不甘心. Losing such a great opportunity is hard for me to accept. The fifth and final character in this lesson pairs the hand radical with our third character, 指, to mean the fingers, since many foods are eaten directly with the fingers. This character is also third tone 指 and combines with 手 手指 to specify that a finger is meant. This doubling up of characters helps to avoid confusion with possible homophones in the language. Beginning with the fingers, we can now say little finger, 小指. 用你的小指把甲虫取出来. Use your little finger to get the beetle out. 我切肉时不小心切到了中指. I accidentally cut my middle finger while slicing meat. 开车回家时，一个女人向我比中指. While driving home, a woman gave me the finger. Yes, this is one way to describe that F-U finger that we Americans are so fond of. It's not a Chinese gesture, so not everyone will recognize it. But why use such a crude gesture anyway, especially with foreigners? Another finger we can name now is the index finger, called 食指 in Chinese, ostensibly because it's the finger used when tasting food. 食指大动 is an idiom from a story in which the main character's index finger wiggles to foretell every time he's about to enjoy a superbly delicious meal. 这些餐点看来叫人食指大动. All these dishes look so mouth-wateringly good. Fingernails are literally finger shields in Chinese. 指甲. 你在找什么呢? 指甲刀. What are you looking for? Nail clippers? From actual fingers, we'll move on to various ways to point, using real fingers or imaginary ones. First, pointing with the index finger. 小朋友，不要这样子用手指人. Children shouldn't point at people like that. 妈，一面尖叫，一面指着椅子上的虫. Mom screamed while pointing to the bug on the chair. 她指了指木架，叫我取下班名册. Pointing to the wooden shelf, he told me to get the class roster. This particular roster would be for students at an entire grade level or school. Otherwise, a simple name list would suffice. 指的 and 指的是 both mean to refer to indicate, without the need for actual fingers. 你指的作家，我没有看过他的作品. I haven't read any works by the author you're referring to. 你这些话指的是我吗? Was what you just said referring to me? 你明明知道我指的是什么. You know very well what I'm talking about. 他显然指的是我们家的屋顶. He obviously means our roof and nobody else's. 指出 and 指明 both simply mean to point out. 指出这些问题是必要的. Pointing out these problems is necessary. 他点了一下头，指明是这把钥匙. He nodded his head to indicate this particular key. The combination 指派 would naturally mean to assign or appoint someone to do a job. 国会是不是负责大使的指派? Is Parliament responsible for appointing ambassadors? 您指派我们的工作已完成了. The job you assigned us to do has been completed. 之后，他们要听你的指派. From now on, they'll report to you. Literally, they'll do as you indicate. 我认为指派他负责这个工作是可取的. I think it advisable that he be assigned the one responsible for this job. 使 meaning to make or force someone combines with 指 in the phrase 指使 to instigate, incite, put someone up to something, or maybe simply hire them to get the job done. 有人背后指使他. Someone behind the scenes has put her up to it. 你要知道，我是不会听你的指使. Keep in mind that I will not take orders from you. 他说是另外一名男子指使他开户. He said another guy got him to open an account. 有人指使他把后门的钥匙爬出来. Someone got her to steal the back door key from his pocket. In other words, she used her female charms to remove the key from that man's person. 指定 means to specifically assign or designate. 今天她指定这本小说中的30页。Today, she assigned 30 pages of this novel. 她的著作是本班的指定书。Her writings are set texts for this class. When I introduced 点 in lesson 61, we had the expression 点他一下, meaning to give someone tips or advice. We now have the complete verb and or noun for this action, 指点。你要是不会使用，可以请人指点。If you don't know how to use it, you can ask someone for help. 我侄子正需要很多人的指点。My nephew really needs any advice you can give him. 没有别人指点他的，是他个人想出来的。Nobody advised her how to do it. She figured it out by herself. This next example doubles the phrase, 指指点点, which doesn't refer to advice at all, but here simply means many people pointing and making comments. 街上的人为什么向我指指点点呢？ Why is everybody on the street pointing at me like that? So, from the above examples, we see that 指点 means to give someone friendly directions. If we need actual geographical directions, north, south, east, west, then we need a compass, which Chinese calls a point south needle, the opposite direction to what Westerners would expect. And, using the same logic, a guidebook is simply called 指南。下面列出使用本书的指南。Listed below is a guide to using this book. 有了使用指南，大家就好入门。With this usage guide, it'll be easy for everyone to get started. 入门, by the way, means to learn the rudiments or basics of a subject. Literally, to cross the threshold. In lesson 34, we learned the expression 责骂, meaning to rebuke, give somebody a dressing down. Now we have 指责, meaning to censure, find fault with, or criticize. 大家的指责，我忍了很久。I put up with everybody's criticism for a long time. 你好意思指责别人？你不会比他行。You've got a lot of nerve criticizing him when you're no better. Remember, 不好意思 means embarrassed or ashamed. So, logically, 好意思 means you have the nerve to do something without feeling the slightest twinge of shame. 在这个问题上，我认为他是不能指责的。I don't feel he can be criticized for this particular problem. 他指责我，我行我素，不在乎别人的想法。He complained that I willfully ignore what others think and do whatever I want. 人家好生气，因为从来没有人指责过他。She was so upset because no one had ever criticized her before. Notice this conversational use of 人家 to mean myself, himself, herself, or simply other people in general. In that last sentence, it was a sarcastic reference to that young lady's shocked reaction to criticism. And finally, another common four-character idiom. 指名道姓, literally, point to the given name and say the surname. In English, we say to name names. 他没有指名道姓， 不过我知道是你. He didn't name names, but I knew he meant you. 不必指名道姓，我相信大家都明白. No need to name anyone. I'm sure it's quite obvious to all. And lastly, when talking about fingers, the dictionaries give alternate pronunciations, which naturally means how certain expressions are used by native speakers in northern China. As I explained in a previous lesson, Standard Mandarin is not the same as Beijing Hua, but is the northern dialect understood by the greatest number of Chinese people, which was therefore chosen as the standard. Speakers of other Chinese dialects had this northern standard imposed upon them in the name of achieving national unity, a very worthy goal. Anyway, you will often hear 3 different tones for 指. For example, finger, officially 手指, pronounced 手指头, and fingernail, officially 指甲, pronounced first tone 指甲, with 甲 unstressed. No big deal really, but check your dictionaries and see for yourselves. Here's our color chart with today's 5 characters. 要, 吃 or 是. 干, 指, and another 指. Here's a recap from today's lesson. 1. This lesson has only 5 characters, 3 of which contain the character identical to B in lesson 68, but pronounced 吃 in this lesson because it refers not to a woman but to a spoon. 2. The pictogram for a spoon is pronounced 吃, but for a key it's pronounced unstressed 是, 钥匙. 3. 月 is another pronunciation for 要 in 钥匙, but few, if any, Chinese speakers pronounce it that way. The only reason I mention this alternate pronunciation is because China took what was originally the name of an ancient weapon and repurposed that character's simplified moon phonetic in the simplified form for key. Still pronounced yao, however, no matter which phonetic you use. 4. The spoon or ladle, 吃, paired with sweet-tasting 干, becomes third tone 指, meaning delicious food. The notion of savoring something sweet in the mouth was extended to the idea of the substance within words, eventually resulting in such meanings as the gist of a speech or article, the substance of an imperial decree, or the will of heaven. 5. This highly palatable taste in the mouth also works as a metaphor for a willingness to accept a particular situation. 甘心. 6. Using a spoon to bring food to one's mouth, 指, fits nicely with the hand radical, alluding to the fact that many people, then and today, eat directly with their fingers. So, 指 with a hand radical, also pronounced 指, means fingers and any pointing gesture. Notice that in English, the verb to indicate is based on the root word index, as in index finger. No surprise there. Now you will find a short quiz on double, triple character, and longer expressions. Answer using only the characters learned so far. Thank you for watching and listening.